Good evening, everyone. Today we're going to talk about something like pain and pleasure. So, if you think you're masochistic, welcome to today's book by Paul Bloom. It's called The Sweet Spot. And if you think you're not masochistic, maybe you're welcome too, because there might be one or two instance which is applicable to you as well. So we do have masochism on one hand, and we do have sadistic behavior on the other end, and there's everything in between. And in this book, it's not to glorify the masochistic or sadistic behavior. If you hear for BDSM, yeah, we do cover it, but that's not the main thing. But in this book, we're trying to explore why our psyches are into masochism and what do we get out of it, and we're trying to understand why do we indulge in this kind of behavior. So the author talks about, very benign masochistic stuff like having salt and vinegar crisp, and you get that feeling at the back of your throat like a burning sensation. And then he talks about the sriracha sauce, which is really spicy, and not many of us are into it, but some of us who are into it, we do get a sensory kick when you have that kind of sauce. So if it is not if it is unpleasant, why do we still like it? So these are like very benign masochistic behavior, but there are things like people sacrifice their life, they go into war with one another, and some women, they die even in childbirth, or some people even donate their kidney. So why do we do things which is actually taking our lives at times? So these are the topics the author is trying to cover in this book, The Sweet Spot. So there are about 3 to 4 points which points us to the direction why we are into pain and pleasure. The first point, the author talks about, like, if you know this man from YouTube, he is called the Iceman. He's called aka Wimp of. He's got breathing exercises, and he also talks about winter dipping. It's a practice where it's super cold and crisp winter morning, and you go dip yourself in a icy cold water. Instead of coming out shivering, you are quite excited when you come out. So Wim Hof highlights few points such as it helps you burn fat, it promotes a good immune system, and a lot of other things. If you go to his website, you will actually see why he's promoting this. And quite a few people in Western world do this, and even in my country, India, like there are these sadhus who go up the mountain and in an icy cold place they spend their time. So and there are like histories in most of the religion where people go up the mountain or places where it's not comfortable. So why do we do this kind of behavior? So in the first theory, why we do this kind of behavior is a contrast theory. So he talks about like we are doing mundane tasks like going to work, going in and coming back, taking care of the family, going to work, coming back, taking care of the family. But eventually when we go on a holiday, we cherish it so much more. We might go on a holiday yearly once, but we cherish it so much more. It looks like we spent the whole year working so hard so we could have that fabulous holiday. So that fabulous holiday is so fabulous because you spent the whole year working, and because you went through that pain, even a 1 week or 2 week outside what you do, it becomes so the effects are really amplified and you feel it's so beautiful. So in the contrast theory, so author talks about, compare it to a period where you are on a tropical island, sipping a champagne, snorkeling, reading books, having massage, and you enjoyed it for a week. But imagine you have to do it for another week, another month, another year. So when you do this pleasurable activities over a period of 1 year, it's no more pleasurable to you. It becomes mundane, it becomes boring, because that's what you're doing day in and out, so there's nothing special about it. But when you worked hard, that effects are magnified and you feel that's awesome. But when your life itself is like having a massage, getting your nails done, they are no more pleasurable. It becomes mundane and boring. So author says you need this kind of contrast, so you know the value of good things, good time, and things like that. And let me see if I made any other notes. Okay, the next theory we're gonna talk about, there are like 3 or 4 theories. So the first one is the contrast theory. The second one is attaining state of being in present. So most often our minds has all these voices going in us. Some of them are anxious, some of them are happy, some of them are super disturbing, stressed. So we have all these voices going in our head day in and out. So the author talks about pain being able to bring us to a state of being in present moment, present and alive. You can't feel anything else but being in present. So usually yogis achieve all this kind of thing through advanced meditation technique, but you can also achieve such a state temporarily with the help of pain. So in this, to illustrate this concept, the author talks about BDSM. So BDSM is, what does B stands for? I made a note. I don't know, guys. D is dominion, S is submission, and BDSM is masochistic. So people indulge in this kind of sexual behavior, which is more like a power play. So you have a dominating person and you have a submissive person, and they, in some BDSM, they even hurt each other. And the important thing about BDSM is it's consensual and both parties want it. So why do we indulge in a behavior where you want to be submissive to somebody, or you want to indulge in a sexual practice where they choke you, spank you, electrocute you, and why do you indulge in that? So if you talk about the power play, some of us are super independent people all our life, taking decisions, doing things on our own. So when you are indulging in a power play where you, let's say you're an independent person, but you temporarily let go of all those kind of reality of the world, and where you can surrender to somebody, It helps you forget the reality and be in a fantasy world. And the second reason why you would like, the contrast theory also applies to BDSM, because you are experiencing pain, and when they stop the pain and they do something pleasurable, that feeling is amplified. So the contrast theory is also applicable to BDSM. In addition to that, in BDSM, you also get when you're experiencing pain, you have no other thoughts or voices going on in your head. You temporarily experience pain, and you get a break from the voices in your head, which is normally achievable only through meditation, but you're able to achieve it through this practice. So the first reason why we do it is the contrast theory. Second reason is to the pain helps you be in the present. And another concept where pain people willingly endure pain is to gain mastery over something. Let's say you're a super obese person, and then you start running, and once you start running, you're able to do 5K, you're able to 10K, you're able to do marathon, you're able to do ultra marathon, you become like a pro athlete. So people endure this kind of exertion and pain because they achieve a new skill. Lastly, sometimes as human beings, we indulge in certain activity. All these three reasons are not enough. The contrast theory, or the theory like being in present, or achieving new skill. This is not enough to explain why people do certain things, like donating your kidney. Like, why would that's against your survival? Or you go for war, why would you do that, going for war with another country? Or childbirth, why would you like to? It's not pleasurable. Like raising a child, being a mother, I can tell you, it's a lot of responsibility, lot of sleepless night, lot of worry. Will you be a good mother? Can you provide? It's a lot of tension to be able to be a good parent. So why would you do that? So it finally comes down to assigning meaning to what you do. So let's say if you're doing a dangerous activity like climbing a Mount Everest, like it's windy, like ice can cover you up, you can die in the process. But some people associate that and raise fund for another cause, like for cancer or for something what they believe in. They try to raise funds for gay rights movement. They associate that dangerous activity to some meaning, and they're able to do that. Some of them may not raise money, but they want to inspire others. But when they assign a meaning to one particular task, it becomes meaningful to them. So even though in that process there is a risk of losing their life, even if they lose their life, they're not losing their life just like that. They're losing it for a purpose. And when you look at people fighting each other, all of us want peace, but people are fighting each other. So some country are trying to defend themselves, some country are going into another country and fighting them. So the country is going into another country and fighting them. They associate it with patriotism. They think they're trying to bring world peace. So they go to the another country. Like, I'm not telling, I don't favor either, but why they do it is because they assign a meaning to it. And in my country, like I come from India, so we are a super religious country. There are atheists who are super atheists. There are Christians who are super Christian. Like, I mean, the extreme, You have Hindus who are extreme. You have Muslims who are extreme. So sometimes these religious groups fight each other. End of the day, God asks you to be good human. That's why we have religion. But the people end up fighting each other because they assign some particular value, and they believe they're doing God's work, and they fight each other, kill each other. So I'm not going to judge the morals of it, but people do things which are extreme because they assign a particular value to it, and they go about doing things in that name of the value. It could be good or bad. It's up to you guys to decide. And donating kidney, like, or doing things like that, or raising a child, you feel you're adding value to someone else's life. It's so meaningful. Like, your life is not just a small thing by itself. You're able to enhance somebody's life. Someone else is able to live because of you, and that makes your life a lot more meaningful and worth the pain. So, do all mothers be a good mother and raise their kids, or do all of them fight for a good reason? See, do you think I'll go to war and fight? No, I'm patriotic, but my love is about loving my country, not hating anyone else. So I will do patriotism my way, and I'll be mother. Like, the most important thing in my life is taking care of my baby. So that's my meaning to my life. And sometimes, like me coming from a banking and an IT background, I ended up in nursing, and it was so refreshing because you're doing the most humble job. It's like taking care of the someone else, like another baby. Like, sometimes they are very rude to you. Like when I was pregnant, there were people who kicked my stomach. Sometimes I see so many behaviors in mental health and in dementia, but we still go, you have so many work to choose, but why do you still choose that work? Because I work in aged care sometimes, and I feel like I am doing something meaningful in their last stage of life. Like when they're going from this planet, I feel like I added something to make their life a little better. So that's what makes me stick to my job. So when there are things we do which is masochistic. So this book is not about glorifying masochistic behavior. It's about understanding that behavior, why we do certain things. Like, even if you say you're a super masculine guy and I'm not masochistic, you go to gym, you work out, it's very tiring. Like, you could be sleeping in the bed, but you go there and do things because it has an after effect, it has another benefit, but you put your body through that pain. So in this book, the author says not all pain is bad, some pain is good, and some pain is necessary, but there are other pains which is extreme, which is really bad. So he's trying to strike a sweet spot between the two extremes and try to understand why you're doing certain things. So that will make it very clear to you why you're into certain things. So when they interviewed some of the visionaries like Dalai Lama, Maya Angelou, Nelson Mandela, like Nelson, some of the great letters have come from people who lived in prison. They started journaling when they were in prison, and sometimes those writings are so meaningful. So some people have sacrificed their families for the sake of nation. Like, they've gone into war, they've left their families, kids behind. Sometimes they die and the wife is left widowed, and they do it because they have a meaning to it, they have a greater purpose. So that's why they do what they do. And I also read another book, guys. It was long ago, but it was about pain. In that also the author talks, like, let's talk about physical pain. It's a mechanism to protect you from the dangers, like that can hurt you. Like, if I touch a hot stuff, because I can experience pain, I know, oh my god, it's hot, stay away from it. Okay, it's super cold, it can burn my skin, stay away from it. But if you can't experience physical pain, in some conditions like leprosy, you can't experience pain, you might touch hot stuff and your skin might be melting away and you don't know. You don't have that mechanism that protects you. And let's talk about emotional and mental pain. We are all talking about depression and all sorts of things, but if you don't have the ability to grasp pain, you kind of have like mental issue, some mental disability. Like people can take advantage of you, but we have these emotional pain, these depressions. So when let's say somebody hurt us initially, but when someone else try to hurt us in the similar way in the future, then we will become aware. Like, some of us are stupid, we might go through the pain again, but there is a red flag that will raise in our mind. With age and time, you will start realizing the mind games they're trying to play with you. So physical pain, mental pain, it is important. And there's a culture that is from the place where I grew up in Karnataka in India. So they have a harvesting festival. They give a blend of sweet and bitter stuff together. They say life requires sweet and bitter thing, because that's what makes it wonderful, because the bitterness gives us the contrast of the sweetness. So we need sweet and bitterness, they say. So this book is not about praising one over the other. In nature, both exist, the sweetness and the bitterness, and we need to strike a sweet balance between the two. I hope you grab this book, guys. It is called The Sweet Spot by Paul Bloom. So speak to you in my next review. Thanks for sharing the night with me. Good night.